I want you to try a quick thought experiment with me. When you picture a modern battlefield, what do you see?
Um, Tanks, I guess. Drones. Guys in camo, maybe some satellite feeds flickering on a screen.
Right, exactly. That's the movie version, isn't it? That is the battlefield we have all been trained to expect.
Yeah.
But the stack of documents we are diving into today argues that the front line has, well, it's moved.
Okay.
It is not in a trench anymore. It is in your pocket. It is on your screen. And the target isn't a power plant or a military base.
So what is it?
It's your amygdala.
It sounds like the intro to a sci-fi novel, doesn't it?
It really does. But this is actually the official stance of, believe it or not, the Swedish government.
That's incredible.
It is. We are looking at a really fascinating set of documents today, and they're mostly centered around something called the Swedish Psychological Defense Agency.
And we have to talk about that name right up front.
We do, because psychological defense, I mean, it sounds a little Orwellian, right?
It does. It sounds like something out of 1984. Ministry of Truth stuff.
Exactly. But when you actually dig into their handbook, which is our main source for this, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, their goal isn't to control what you think.
No.
It's to stop others from controlling what you think.
It is a subtle distinction, but a huge one. The whole premise here is that a society's resilience, its ability to not, collapse during a crisis, depends on the human software.
The human software.
They explicitly call this a civic responsibility.
That was the phrase that just jumped right off the page at me, a civic responsibility.
Me too.
I mean, we're used to thinking of national security as something the government does for us.
Yeah.
Right.
You pay your taxes, they buy some jets, and you stay safe.
Exactly. This source material completely flips that table. It says, look, if you can't tell the difference between a real news report and some rage bait meme that was generated by a server farm in St. Petersburg,
then you are the vulnerability. I am the weak link.
we all are. And the mission of this deep dive is really to figure out how to patch that vulnerability. We are going to look at how our reality is being hacked, and I mean literally hacked, by exploiting the bugs in our own human cognition.
We've got notes here on something called the liar's dividend. We have leaked files from Russian troll factories that look, well, they look depressingly like normal marketing agencies.
Those files were something else.
Weren't they? Timesheets for trolls.
Did you hit your quota of hate speech today, Sergei? It's so banal, and that's what makes it terrifying.
We're going to get into video games, which it turns out is the new Wild West for intelligence leaks and propaganda.
It's a massive download today.
It really is. And because we are talking about how your personal data and your digital habits are being weaponized against you, it makes perfect sense that we're partnering with www.myprivacy.blog for this deep dive.
Absolutely. You're going to hear us talk a lot about micro-targeting later, how these malicious actors find your specific psychological buttons.
And how do they find them?
Well, the only way they find those buttons is through the data you leave behind. And www.myprivacy.blog is where you can go to start cleaning up that trail.
And for all of you on the other side of the firewall, the security leaders, the CISOs who have to defend your companies from these industrial-scale lies, we are also supported by www.CISOmarketplace.com.
Because you really do need enterprise-grade tools for enterprise-grade threats.
Yeah.
This isn't small-scale stuff anymore.
So we have the stage set. We know what the stakes are.
Let's get into the machinery.
Okay. Segment 1, the technological accelerant.
Or, as I like to think of it, how AI poured gasoline on the fire.
We all know the internet changed how rumors spread. A lie can travel around the world while the truth is putting its shoes on. That's the old saying.
Right.
But the source material suggests we're in a completely different phase now. This isn't just about speed anymore. It is fundamentally different.
It is the difference between a guy yelling on a street corner and a targeted laser beam aimed right between your eyes. The sources describe AI as a classic dual-use technology, meaning it's a tool for defense. We use it for good things, like filtering spam or spotting bots. But for the disinformation artist, AI is a miracle.
A miracle tool.
And the single biggest game changer, according to these reports, is the death of the language barrier.
Break that down for us because, I use Google Translate when I travel, and it's okay. It's not great. I still end up ordering the wrong sandwich half the time.
Right, that's the old tech. The new LLMs, the large language models, they don't just translate words anymore. They translate sentiment. They translate culture.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
Well, in the old days, say 5 years ago, if a Russian operative wanted to start a rumor in a local Facebook group in, rural Kansas or a forum in Osaka, Japan, They had a problem.
They didn't speak the dialect. They didn't get the local jokes.
Exactly. They would write something that just sounded stiff. The slang would be 10 years out of date. They'd mess up the grammar. It was a friction point.
Yeah, you'd read it and think this reads like a bot, or this person isn't from around here.
It triggered a little alarm in your brain, a kind of stranger danger signal.
Right.
That alarm is gone now. The source material highlights that modern AI can generate flawless, colloquial, culturally specific text in almost any language and do it instantly.
So one person can be everywhere at once.
You could be sitting in a basement in Moscow, and you can effectively be a concerned mother in Ohio, an angry student in Paris, and a confused voter in Taiwan, all at the same time, all with perfect fluency.
So the cost of entry for global interference has basically dropped to zero.
Zero. The reports call it an AI-driven infodemic. But it isn't just about speaking language, it's about knowing where to speak.
Okay.
And this brings us to one of the most interesting and, frankly, disturbing concepts in the text. Data voids.
I circled this one in red ink. Data voids. It sounds like something from Star Trek.
It is much more practical than that
Yeah.
and much scarier. Imagine a library.
Okay.
For most topics, politics, sports, celebrities, the shelves are full of books. There's tons of information, right?
Right. Competing sources, lots of material.
But sometimes a new event happens. Maybe a new virus appears, or a chemical train derails in a small town, or a politician uses some weird phrase nobody's ever heard before.
A breaking news event.
Exactly. In that specific moment, if you go to the library, or in our case, if you go to Google to search for that brand new thing, what do you find?
Nothing. Or next to nothing. The New York Times hasn't written the definitive article yet. CNN is still trying to verify its sources. The shelf is empty.
That is the void.
Yeah.
It is a gap in the information ecosystem. And the sources explain that sophisticated actors are now using algorithms to spot these voids the second they open up.
They are scanning for the silence.
And then they fill it. They flood the zone. They use AI to generate hundreds, maybe thousands of articles, blog posts, YouTube videos, tweets, all explaining this new event.
But it's all lies. It's all conspiracy.
It's all their narrative.
That is incredibly devious, because you have to think about it from the user's perspective. I hear a rumor about, I don't know, some zombie deer virus in my state. I get scared. I Google it.
And because the CDC hasn't had time to issue an official statement yet, the only search results you see are the fake ones that were just generated.
So my brain immediately goes, well, here are 10 articles saying it is a secret government bioweapon, and there are 0 articles saying it is a natural virus. The evidence is 10-0.
Exactly. They have completely captured the first impression. And psychology tells us that the first thing you believe about a topic is incredibly hard to overwrite later on.
They are filling the pothole with cement before the road crew even knows there is a hole.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And since they are using AI, they can do this at a speed that real journalism simply cannot match.
Fact-checking takes phone calls. It takes time.
Generating a lie takes milliseconds.
That's the asymmetry of the fight.
It is. And it gets more personal than that.
Hmm.
The notes we have also discussed tailored misinformation.
This is that micro-targeting we hinted at earlier.
Yes. In the old days of propaganda, think of it like World War II leaflets. You drop the same piece of paper on the whole city. Surrender now. It was broad.
A shotgun approach.
Right. But AI allows for the sniper approach. By analyzing your data, your click history, what kind of videos make you pause your scrolling, what you share with your friends' algorithms, can infer your psychological trigger.
They know if I'm anxious about my finances. They know if I'm worried about crime in my neighborhood. They know if I have a deep distrust of authority.
And then these generative models can spin up a story specifically designed to punch your bruise. If you're afraid of crime, the bot doesn't send you a story about the economy.
It generates a fake video of a mugging that looks like it's on my specific street corner.
It mimics human writing. It mimics local concerns. The text calls it an oversaturation strategy.
The goal isn't just to trick you once.
No, it's to exhaust you. The source calls it the fire hose of falsehood. If I just spray you with enough conflicting, terrifying, emotional information, eventually your brain just shuts down.
You stop trying to figure out what's true.
You just retreat to what feels safe.
Which usually means retreating to your tribe. I'll just believe what my side says.
Precisely. And that leads us perfectly to this next concept, the liar's dividend.
I love this term. I mean, I hate what it means, but it's such a smart, descriptive term.
It is. It's the concept that deals with the fallout of deepfakes. We all worry about the direct threat, right?
Yeah, the obvious danger. I see a video of the president confessing to a horrible crime. I believe it, and chaos ensues.
But the dividend is actually the secondary and maybe more dangerous effect. Because the public knows that deepfakes exist, because we're all talking about them right now, it creates a universal get-out-of-jail-free card for reality itself.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Okay, let's say a politician actually does get caught on tape taking a bribe. There's real video. It's high definition. The audio is crystal clear. In 1990, that politician is finished. Game over.
Absolutely. Career ending.
Today,
Today.
they stand at a podium and they say, that isn't me. That is a sophisticated AI deepfake created by my political opponents to smear me.
And because we all know that it's possible.
A huge chunk of the population will believe them. Or at the very least, they'll be doubtful enough that the politician survives the scandal. The mere existence of the fake casts a shadow of doubt over everything that's real.
That's the dividend, the benefit paid to the liar.
Yes.
It effectively destroys the entire concept of video proof.
It destroys the concept of objective evidence. If anything can be faked, then nothing has to be accepted as real.
Wow. That is heavy. It really feels like the ground is shifting under our feet.
It is. But here is the big twist. The Swedish defense documents make a really, really strong point here. We've spent the last 10 minutes talking about the tech, the AI, the deepfakes, the algorithms.
Bring the weapons.
But they argue that the tech is actually the secondary problem.
But what's the primary problem?
Us, the wetware, the gray matter between your ears. The tech is just the delivery mechanism.
The vulnerability is in how we think, how we process information.
So we can't just blame the bots for everything.
No. The bots are just ringing the doorbell.
We're the ones opening the door.
Okay, let's walk through that door then. Segment 2, hacking the human hardware. And this all seems to start with a guy named Daniel Kahneman.
Yes, the Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah.
The source material leans really heavily on his model of System 1 and System 2 thinking.
I remember this from a college psych class, but for the listener who hasn't read Thinking Fast and Slow, let's do a quick breakdown.
Sure. Think of your brain as having two pilots in the cockpit. System 1 is the autopilot.
Okay.
It is fast, it's intuitive, emotional, and totally automatic. It is the part of your brain that slams on the brakes when a cat runs out in front of your car. You don't think about it, you just react.
Got it. In System 2.
System 2 is the co-pilot, who is actually reading the map and doing the calculations. It is slow, analytical, logical, and it takes real effort.
Right.
It is the part of your brain you use when you're doing long division or trying to assemble IKEA furniture or parallel parking in a really tight spot.
So System 1 is run from the tiger, and System 2 is calculate the trajectory of the spear.
That's a perfect analogy. Now here's the problem. Disinformation is weaponized to bypass System 2 entirely.
It doesn't want to talk to the logical co-pilot.
It is designed to speak directly to the lizard brain, to System 1. It wants a reaction, not a reflection.
That makes so much sense. When you see a headline that makes you gasp or a picture that makes your blood boil, that is a direct injection of information into System 1.
Correct. If you stop to fact check it, if you engage System 2, the disinformation fails. But the bad actors know we're cognitively lazy. We prefer to use System 1 because it burns less energy.
And this connects right back to our sponsor, www.myprivacy.blog. Because the reason these actors know exactly how to trigger your specific System 1 is because they have your data.
That's the key. If they know you constantly click on stories about, say, animal cruelty, they know that is your emotional trigger.
So that they can serve you a fake AI-generated story about that topic to bypass your logic and get that instant emotional reaction.
Exactly. Understanding your own digital footprint, which is what www.myprivacy.blog helps you do, is really the first step in putting up a shield to protect your own System 1.
So once they have found that vulnerability, the sources say they lean on two very specific emotions above all others: fear and anger.
The emotional architecture. It is fascinating and, honestly, pretty depressing to read about. Fear exploits a cognitive bias called the availability heuristic.
Unpack that for us.
The availability heuristic is a mental shortcut we all use. We judge how likely an event is based on how easily we can recall an example of it.
Okay.
So if I show you 5 vivid, bloody, terrifying videos of shark attacks in a row.
I am going to think the ocean is suddenly infested with sharks and I'm never going swimming again.
Exactly. Even if, statistically, shark attacks are at an all-time low, your System 1 sees the blood in the teeth and it just screams, danger is everywhere. Disinformation campaigns use this to make you feel like your society is collapsing, even if all the data says it isn't.
And anger, what about that?
Anger is even more potent. It's the engine for effective polarization.
That's a mouthful.
It just means it's not about just agreeing with someone on tax policy anymore. This is about hating them. It is about viewing the political other, not as an opponent you have a debate with, but as an enemy you have to destroy.
And the research is pretty clear on this. If you hate someone, you will believe almost anything bad about them.
That is confirmation bias on steroids. If I tell you a lie about a politician you love, you'll scrutinize it. You will fact-check it, you'll look for holes.
Yeah.
But if I tell you a lie about a politician you hate, you will say, I knew it. And you'll hit that share button without a second thought.
The text also mentioned the fundamental attribution error. That felt like a really key piece of this puzzle.
It is the root of so much group conflict. It is our natural tendency to attribute other people's bad behavior to their evil character,
Yeah.
but our own bad behavior to the situation.
So if I yell at my kids, it is because I had a really hard, stressful day at work and I'm just tired. But if you yell at your kids, it is because you are a bad parent.
Exactly. And in information warfare, this is used to dehumanize entire groups of people. They are destroying the country because they are evil. We are just fighting back because we have to.
There is a case study in these documents that just perfectly illustrates all of this. It's dark, but I think we have to talk about it. The LVU campaign.
Yes, this was a massive, coordinated disinformation attack against the nation of Sweden.
For those who don't know, LVU is the Swedish law regarding taking children into state care. It's their social services.
Right. Now, I want you to imagine you are a parent. What is your deepest, most primal fear?
Losing my kids. Someone taking them away from me.
Exactly. The campaign built a narrative, a completely false narrative, that the Swedish state was systematically kidnapping Muslim children.
Kidnapping them for what?
To force them to assimilate or to give them to Christian families, to erase their culture.
Which is a complete lie.
It is a total fabrication. But think about the tactics they used. They didn't argue with statistics or legal documents. They used video.
What kind of video?
They took out-of-context clips of social workers, or maybe police intervening in a domestic violence situation where a child is crying and being separated from a parent.
With all the context removed.
All context gone, all you see is a crying child and a person in a uniform taking them away.
System 1 screams.
System 1 screams, kidnapper. It bypassed all logic. It mobilized rage across the Middle East. There were protests at Swedish embassies. It radicalized people.
It painted the entire Swedish state as an evil character, just using that attribution error we talked about.
It is terrifying because it is so simple and so effective. You take a grain of real footage, you strip away the truth, you wrap it in an emotional lie, and you aim it directly at a parent's heart.
And it works. It hacked the human hardware perfectly.
And the thing is, we tend to think of this as the work of hackers, some guy in a hoodie in a dark room. But the source material makes it crystal clear. This is not a hobby. This is an industry.
And that's the third big realization here. We need to talk about the commercial disinformation ecosystem.
Segment 3, disinformation as a service.
Days. It sounds like a Silicon Valley tech startup pitch.
It essentially is. We often focus on state actors, like the KGB or the CIA in the old days. But the modern reality is much more capitalist.
How so?
There are PR firms, marketing agencies, and so-called strategic communication companies that will destroy the truth for a fee.
And the sources we have include leaked documents from one of these groups, a firm called the Social Design Agency, or SDA.
These leaks are gold. They show us the true banality of evil. The SDA is a Russian firm, run by people they call political technologists. But if you look at their internal files, they just look like a normal ad agency.
They have project managers.
They have project managers, they have creative directors, they have KPIs, key performance indicators.
That's insane. Okay, team, let's look at the metrics. We need to increase societal destabilization in France by 12% this quarter.
It is literally that. They treat disinformation campaigns just like a new marketing launch for a soft drink. How many views did the fake video get? What's the engagement rate on the hate speech? It is bureaucratized lying.
And one of their flagship products was something called Operation Doppelganger.
This was incredibly sophisticated. They built what are called mirror websites.
Explain how that works.
Okay, so you trust, say, The Guardian or Le Monde or a Bild in Germany. You know their logo, you know their font, you know the layout of their website.
Right, it's familiar, it feels credible.
The SDA would clone the entire site. They would buy a domain name that was almost identical, maybe theguardian.ltd instead of .com. They would copy the design, the colors, everything.
So visually, when you land on the page, it is identical.
Identical. And then they would host an article on that fake site that looked like real journalism, but was actually pure Kremlin propaganda.
So I'm scrolling through Twitter, I click a link.
And your System 1 sees the familiar logo and thinks trusted source. You immediately lower your guard. You read the lie, thinking it's real news.
It's like they're wearing the uniform of credibility. It's a bank robber wearing a stolen police uniform.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Mhm.
And because they operate like a business, they are brutally efficient. They have bought farms to amplify these links, to make them trend, to fill those data voids we talked about earlier.
The documents also mention a concept called Gauze Digital. This felt even bigger, even more ambitious than the SDA.
Gauze Digital is the long game. It is the war economy of lies. The text describes Russia's attempt to create a completely state-controlled internet.
Like a walled garden, a Russian version of the internet.
It's more like a digital prison. The concept is cradle-to-grave propaganda.
Cradle to grave. That's chilling.
The idea is that the state controls the entire digital infrastructure of your life. From the app your kid uses in kindergarten, to the online portal you use for school grades, to the website you use to book a doctor's appointment, to the streaming service you watch sports on.
It is all owned and operated by the state.
It is all the state,
Mm.
which means the state can curate your reality from the moment you're born until the moment you die. There is no outside information allowed in. It is a completely closed loop.
That is. It's suffocating. It makes me realize just how fragile our own open internet actually is.
It creates a completely alternate reality for millions and millions of people. And this industrial scale, this corporate efficiency of the SDA and the state infrastructure of Gauze Digital is why we can't just rely on being a bit smarter online.
Right. You can't fight a professional army with just your own intuition.
And companies can't fight it with basic firewalls. This is why a resource like www.cisomarketplace.com is so relevant here. We are talking about attacks that are funded by nation-states and run by corporations.
Yeah.
If you are a CISO, you are not fighting some script kiddie in a basement. You are fighting an entire industry. You need that marketplace to find the tools and the intelligence that can actually match that kind of scale.
It's a full-blown arms race. And speaking of arms races, there is a whole new battleground that I think most listeners, and honestly most parents, are completely ignoring.
And that would be segment 4, video games.
I am a gamer. I play games to relax. I really don't want to think about geopolitics when I'm trying to score a goal or win a race. But the source material says games are now a dynamic, politicized arena.
They are. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Where are the young men? Where are the eyeballs? They aren't watching cable news. They're on Steam. They're on Twitch. They're on Discord.
So how does this actually manifest? Are we talking about, like, in-game ads for propaganda?
It's much more insidious than that. It is about reframing reality. Let's talk about the game ARMA3.
Okay, that's the military simulator, right? It's
Yeah.
known for being very realistic.
Hyper-realistic.
Mm.
The physics, the explosions, the vehicles. It looks incredibly real, especially if the footage is a little grainy or low-res, like a cell phone video.
I think I see where this is going.
We have seen repeated instances where footage from the video game ARMA3 is uploaded to Twitter or Telegram with captions like, live footage from the war in Ukraine or breaking airstrikes in Gaza.
And people believe it.
Major news networks have been fooled by this because, again, it's about System 1. Your brain sees an explosion and thinks, war. It doesn't stop to count the polygons.
So it creates this constant fog of war. You can't be sure if what you're seeing is real footage or if it's just a game.
Precisely. It just dilutes the truth. But then there's the recruitment angle. The sources discuss how extremist actors are using the visual language of first-person shooters, or FPS games.
What does that mean, the visual language?
Think about the live stream of the Christchurch shooting or other similar attacks. They mount the camera on a helmet. It looks exactly like you're playing Call of Duty.
It gamifies the violence?
It makes it feel familiar to a young, impressionable audience. It lowers the psychological barrier to committing real-world violence because I've seen this before in a game. I know how this works.
Yeah.
It is a horrifying recruitment tool.
And then there is the weirdest part of this whole report, the leaks.
The Discord connection. This is wild.
We have to talk about the Minecraft leak. It's just so surreal.
The 2023 Pentagon leaks.
Yeah.
We're talking about highly classified intelligence about the war in Ukraine, troop movements, casualty numbers, spy satellite data, top secret stuff.
And where did this intelligence first appear online?
On a Discord server dedicated to the video game Minecraft.
I know it is incredibly serious, but it is also absurd. You have top secret documents sitting right next to conversations about how to build a block castle.
But it shows you the cultural disconnect. These young people, often in the military itself, are in these gaming communities. That is their social circle.
And they want clout. They want to win an argument online.
So they drop a classified document to prove a point. No, I know the tank specs are wrong because here I have the actual manual. It's just intelligence flows through gaming channels now. It is a porous, unguarded border.
And the sources also mention Roblox. My nephew plays Roblox. To me, it just looks like digital Legos on an iPad.
It is. But it is also a massive content creation platform. And the text we read mentions propaganda mods. Malicious actors are creating custom games inside Roblox.
Like what kind of games?
Simulations of bombing specific, real-world cities. Or games that reenact historical conflicts, but with a very specific political bias. They are targeting kids, literal children, to shape their worldview before they're even old enough to vote.
Wow. That is targeting the human software while it is still being written.
It is. It is playing the longest game imaginable.
Okay, so we have covered the tech, we have covered the brain science, we have covered the corporate troll farms, we have covered the video game recruitment. It feels overwhelming.
You can feel that way for sure.
I feel like I need to unplug my router and go live in a cave.
That is one reaction, but that is absolutely not what the Swedish Psychological Defense Agency wants. The whole point of this handbook isn't just to scare us into submission, it is to show us how to fight back.
Okay, good. Let's get to that. Segment 5, Strategies for Societal Resilience.
The core question in the text is what they call the democratic dilemma. How does an open democratic society defend itself against lies without becoming authoritarian in the process?
Right, because if the government just starts banning everything they call fake news, they instantly become the Ministry of Truth we were worried about at the beginning.
Exactly. Rule number 1 in the handbook is no Ministry of Truth. The defense must be democratic. Censorship and prior restraint are not the answer.
So if you can't just delete the lies, what do?
You upgrade the users. You build resilience in the population.
This is that MIL concept they talk about.
Media and information literacy. MIL. The goal is to create what they call digital civic literacy.
It sounds a bit like a boring class you'd have to take in high school, but it seems absolutely vital now.
It is vital. It is about training the population to instinctively engage System 2. To teach people to just pause for a second, to ask, who sent this to me? Why do they want me to be angry right now? Is this a reputable source?
If the population is immune, the virus can't spread.
That's the idea. The lie stops with you. But the government can also do something proactive called pre-bunking.
I love this word, pre-bunking. It sounds like Minority Report for fake news.
It is also called inoculation theory. Think of it like a vaccine. You give the body a weak, dead version of a virus so it learns how to fight it when the real thing comes along.
So how does that work with information?
The text uses the lead-up to the invasion of Ukraine as the perfect example. Western intelligence agencies knew that Russia was going to stage false flag attacks, create fake videos showing Ukrainians attacking Russia to justify their invasion.
So what did they do?
They declassified the intelligence. They stood up and told the world, hey, just so you know, next week you are going to see some really convincing fake videos. They are not real. Do not believe them.
So when the fake videos inevitably came out?
Everyone just shrugged. Oh, there's that fake video they told us was coming. It completely popped the balloon before they could even inflate it.
That is brilliant. It uses that first impression bias against the liars. You get the truth in there first.
Exactly. You anchor the truth first.
The text also talks about strategic communication, the idea of flooding the zone with good information.
Yes. Public institutions cannot be silent. If there is a data void, the government has an obligation to fill it with factual, clear, and immediate information. Don't leave that void open for the SDA to come in and fill it with poison.
And finally, deterrence. Can we actually stop them from even trying?
It is hard. But the text mentions something called deterrence by delegitimization.
Which is basically naming and shaming.
It's attribution. It's when a government stands up and says, we know this website is secretly run by the SDA. We know this particular narrative is coming directly from the Kremlin. It exposes the wizard behind the curtain.
It makes them look weak and pathetic, rather than scary and all-powerful.
It strips away their mystery, their power.
Mm.
And that is powerful.
So we are coming to the end of this deep dive, and I'm just trying to synthesize all of this. It's clear we're in a new age. The information war is real.
It is happening right now on your phone, in your social media feeds.
And our own minds, our fears, our anger, our cognitive laziness are the main vulnerabilities.
But we are also the main defense. That is the hopeful part of all this. The solution isn't just better AI filters blocking the bots. The solution is better human software.
It is about refusing to be a puppet on a string.
It is. It is about realizing that checking a source isn't just being nerdy or pedantic. It is a civic duty.
Mm.
It is how you defend your country and your democracy in 2026.
I want to leave the listener with one final thought from the source material. It contains a stark warning that if we rely solely on technology to save us, if we just scream at Facebook and Google to fix it, we risk creating the very censorship we're trying to avoid.
We do. Because you're just asking a powerful entity to decide what is true. The only sustainable path forward is a citizenry that refuses to be manipulated in the first place.
A citizenry that refuses to be manipulated. That is a mission I can sign up for.
Me too.
Thank you so much for guiding us through this today. It was a lot to take in, but I feel armed. I feel more ready.
That is the whole goal. Stay vigilant.
And a huge thank you to our partners who help keep this show running and who can help keep you safe. That's www.myprivacy.blog. Seriously, go check them out. Clean up your data trail so the bots have nothing to micro-target you with.
And www.cisomarketplace.com for the professionals out there holding the line against these massive industrial threats.
Essential tools for an essential job. Thank you for listening. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and don't let them hack your reality. We'll see you in the next deep dive.